Welcome into the channel. Let's talk some Texans. Plenty to get to from the first day of joint practices with the Miami Dolphins in town and Texans training camp rolling on ahead of the preseason game this Saturday afternoon with the Dolphins, a joint practice tomorrow. Lots to get to. We'll talk about CJ Stroud's day against the Dolphins defense. We'll talk about the top two pass catchers making themselves known here to all of us in practice for the Texans, and the defense gets tested. We'll talk about that, so much more. We, of course, welcome your comments on the show as well. I'm Cody Stoots. If you've never been here before, appreciate you throwing a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and check out Houston Football, my website where I do all my writing, www.houfootball.com. I have 14 observations from the practice today and some extra stuff in there for the paid subscribers. It starts at just $7 a month. I will make it worth your hard-earned money when you sign up for Houston Football. And I'm going to make it worth your time here watching on YouTube. Hello, everybody. We'll get to the comments here after we talk a little bit about CJ Stroud's day against the Dolphins. I thought he had overall a good day. CJ Stroud, his big goal in all of these practices, and D'Amico Ryans has talked about it, and we've talked about it here on the channel going back to a year ago. They want to see consistency, and they want to see him get better. Well, if he's going to be consistent, you like for him to be consistently good, and that's exactly what CJ Stroud has been doing in practice, and today was no different. I thought he started pretty quick here with the Dolphins defense today and some of the team stuff, and then the Dolphins defense kind of fought back a little bit. So Stroud started things off in a pretty good manner. You had Dameon Pierce running the football a little bit. They were moving the pile pretty well with Juice Scruggs pushing things up the field. And honestly, I felt like the officials and the two teams called things dead before Pierce and Juice Scruggs were actually tackled and done with the rep. But then Stroud, on a nice little easy play action, boom, he finds Eric Tomlinson. There's a first down. And he just kept moving the chains, got to a third and about 8 is what the scoreboard said. It looked like maybe closer to 9 on that first early teams period. And CJ Stroud back there. Oh, there's Dalton Schultz. Boo! Zips it in there, first down. So the first team period, the start, I guess should say, to the first team period, felt very much in control for CJ Stroud. Like he was operating well. You hear D'Amico Ryans talk about the operation from the quarterback spot. It was solid. It was very good at times. It felt like he was getting them into plays that they needed to get into. You're not doing some sort of massive checks at the line of scrimmage or anything like that. But Stroud looked like they were getting them into plays. And then the Dolphins started to bring a little bit of pressure, started to get through some of the offensive line for the Texans, bring a little heat. And things just kind of got a little bit off rhythm, a little bit off time shortly after that. And Stroud was having to make some plays or try to make some plays with his feet. He had to be mobile to avoid messy pockets and avoid some of the pressure. Some of the pressure just out and out got to him. And ultimately, it led to a little bit of a dip. So, you go up the roller coaster and then you dip a little bit. And the dip was 2 passes that I can really recall and think of right off the top of my head. Xavier Hutchinson had everybody and their mom beat deep against this Dolphins team. He started over on the right side of the field, and he kind of had cut across behind the Dolphins defense. And I think Stroud missed him by that much. Like, it was close, man. It was real close to hitting Xavier Hutchinson for a huge play. The crowd would have exploded. Hutchinson was running right into the fans that were in attendance. And then I think it was either the next pass or 2 passes later, Nico Collins is streaking down the sideline, and Stroud misses him by, again, like that much. Like, it was just a tiny miss on both of those throws. And I was like, okay, you're watching the offensive line try to block this Dolphins defensive front, which has got some dudes, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips and Raekwon Davis. Raekwon Davis had a great play today. He's number 98 for the Dolphins. He just blew right past Kenyon Green and was there in the backfield. And he's a big man. He had a nice day today for the Dolphins against the Texans offensive line. And so, all right, so the roller coaster went up. It dipped a little bit. And so what does Stroud do when he gets back there? Well, he gets back in there and he calms down a little bit, and the offense calms down a little bit, and he hits a nice, easy pass to Dalton Schultz. And then some of that pressure shows up, and he's sort of running, not taking off, but just kind of extending the play a little bit. The pressure's coming from behind him. He flips one out there. It's a little high. Tank Dell skies up and grabs it, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, got a little juice here, got moving it a little bit. So that sets up like a third and, medium. And they hit Steven Sims and he's short, and that's kind of does it for that team period. And I was like, okay, well, the Dolphins got going a little bit. All right. They got going a little bit. The offense had some trouble blocking them. And let's see how Stroud ultimately responds. Let's see how Stroud ultimately gets this thing going. They do another team period or they're more teams with the first team. And, like Nick Vannett catches a ball and then, fumbles the football. He's one of the tight ends that's on this team. So there was like a little operation. Davis batted one down at the line of scrimmage. The Dolphins defensive tackle did that. So like it was just a little, jerky at different times for that offense after kind of a, nice solid start. It just kind of got a little stop and startish. Now there was one play that was really, really good that ultimately would have been a first down. Noah Brown goes out there and he just beats the pants off of Xavier Howard. I mean, he had Howard beaten to the point where Howard kind of grabbed at Noah Brown, grabbed him kind of around the waist a little bit, had the hand in there. Official throws the yellow flag. Noah Brown didn't catch the ball, okay, but it would have been a first down based off of the penalty right there. So, so again, started nice with the team's periods, dips a little bit here. There was some tight coverage. Guys are in there knocking stuff away. Couldn't quite get it to Robert Woods over the middle here and there. And then they got to the red zone. And let me tell you, if it's a tough task to get to the red zone, I'd understand that. But this feels like a team that is ready to assault people in the red zone. And they started from about 20 yards out, maybe a little bit closer than that. It was tough to see they were on the far field from me. And Stroud is rolling. Let me tell you, he is rolling. Like, he has a play where he's extending the play and he's sort of rolling out to his right. And I think it was Van Ginkel, the linebacker for the Dolphins, is coming in. And Stroud's looking. He's got his eyes up the field. How many times have we seen young quarterbacks take off and not have their eyes up the field? Well, Stroud's on the move. He's got his eyes on the field, and then he sees it across the back of the end zone. Boom! Tank Dell, touchdown. Back right corner of the end zone. That's one for Tank Dell in the red zone. Stay keeping count here. All right, so then they have some nice plays. Stroud scrambles for a couple of yards. Dameon Pierce has a big run that, honestly, I probably would have called it a touchdown. It was Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary had a big run. I'm looking at my notes here. And I was like, I kind of would have called it a touchdown. It looked like he got in there. Maybe the defense stops him a little bit short. Couple of pressures show up. And then next thing you know, they're in the red zone. And he's hitting just a beeline to Dalton Schultz, who makes a great one-handed catch, comes down with it. He's laying on the ground. He throws his arms up in the air. His teammates are picking him up. They're having a blast. That was a really nice play. And then my favorite play for the offense, Stroud gets it. Pressure shows up. So he rolls to his left. Now, remember, he's a right-handed quarterback. He rolls to his left. And I'm thinking this could be a throwaway, like a play that he'd done a couple of snaps ago where they just ran out of room and he threw the sucker away. I'm thinking this is going to be a throwaway. As Stone Cold used to say. It was not a throwaway. One more millisecond late, one more millisecond early. I mean, he times it out perfectly. Who else? Tank Dell, corner of the end zone. Boom. Touchdown, Tank Dell. 7-13, 7-1-3. It's going to be something to pay attention to in the red zone. Going to be something to pay attention to in totality for this Texans team. And then Tank Dell added another touchdown before red zone was over. So if you're keeping count, that's 4 passing touchdowns in the red zone in that little set of teams for CJ Stroud. So as I wrote on Houston Football, and you can read all the observations, www.houfootball.com for the paid subscribers. He started good. Dolphins got a little bit of what they wanted, and then he came back with a vengeance and dominated them in the red zone. There was one particular play that kind of made me raise my eyebrows with CJ Stroud. He took off on a run, and he was fast. Like, I'm not talking like quarterback fast. Like, he was fast. And he hit the sideline, and he beat the defender to the sideline. So, it's not like I can say, well, the defender was going to tackle him. He beat the defender to the sideline, and he gained a couple of yards doing it. And I was like, ooh, I didn't know he had that kind of maneuverability and that kind of speed to it. So I was very interested with that. And the final team rep is a situational. I think they call it end of half, but really they're simulating the end of game. It's the same as end of half. I don't know exactly how many yards they needed to go to get into field goal range. No, they didn't start like at the back 20 or anything, but they had about a minute and a timeout on offense, and Stroud gets back over the middle to Robert Woods, batted away, incomplete. No completion. And then the next play, he gets sacked. I don't remember which Dolphins player sacked him, but he gets sacked. And so now it's 3rd and 16. Now, mind you, the situation is get into field goal range. Field goal gets you the lead. Okay? And it's 3rd and 16. What does CJ Stroud do? What does the offensive line do? Whoop, there's Nico. Wham. Nico Collins over the middle. First down. Steven Sims had a catch after that. Next thing you know, they're in field goal range. And that's where the Dolphins take over, going back the other way. So that was the end of CJ Stroud's day. It was a very solid to good day. And overall, when you think about this, this is the second non-teammate defense that he's gone against. He went against the Patriots for 12 snaps, 15 snaps, whatever it was in New England. And he had this whole day against the Dolphins defense. And when you factor in that this is his first large amount of snaps against the defense, and he starts high, dips, and bounces back, especially in the red zone, I thought it was a great day for CJ Stroud. Overall, when you factor in that he's playing a defense like the Dolphins, which is a solid defense. Vic Fangio is a very good defensive coordinator. There's some talent over there on that defense. I thought overall, very nice day for CJ Stroud. So that's CJ Stroud. We'll talk about the pass catchers here in just a second. I want to get to some of these comments. And again, if you have something that you desperately want to answer, the super chat is available for you. And we will skip you right to the front of the line. And if you have a question about something that we're not talking about right now, I will do my best to star it and answer it a little bit later. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Let's get to some of these comments. What's the O-line looking like for the Dolphins game? I don't know if they're going to play the starters in the Dolphins game. It would behoove them to. I'll be interested if Laramie Tunsil doesn't play, who plays left tackle. Michael Dieter is perhaps an option there at left tackle. So maybe it's Dieter, Green, Scruggs, maybe Mason, and then George Fant as the offensive line for Saturday. That's maybe the thing. But it's worth noting, the offensive line, they got beat a couple times. They had some moments where they were taking care of business too. It was not some sort of just domination, by the Dolphins defense. Rick dropping a Mighty Mouse for Tank Dell. All right, Mighty Mouse is great, but there have been people called Mighty Mouse before. What do we think about Vincent Van Gogh route? Because when he runs his routes, it's art. Vincent Van Gogh route. Let's just let that simmer. Let it rattle around a little bit. The nickname for Tank Dell, Vincent Van Gogh route. Because when he runs his routes, it's art. Okay? Just let it rattle around there. Appreciate everybody jumping in. Brandon, Sean, I see you. Thank you, guys. Where are the O-line issues I keep hearing coming from? Heard Green got beat one time. That's all I've heard specifically. Yeah, sometimes it's pressure off the edge, Fant or, guys slipping through, or Tunsil's got his guy locked down and they're bringing stuff, beside Tunsil. It's not Laramie. Laramie's kicking everybody's ass. You know, he's a brick wall. So it's not Laramie. And if it is Laramie or it looks like Laramie, then I'm going to say somebody else made a mistake. Tiff. I hate for Stroud to have good practice but not good games on the field. These reps matter to me as much as a preseason game. So to see that, I feel like is very good from CJ Stroud. I would like to see him in a game situation at NRG Stadium play well. He's going to get that opportunity on Saturday if the coaches decide to play him a bunch. He's going to get the opportunity to do that, but we'll see. If we can pull off 4 to 5 touchdowns a game, the defense should be able to hold the line. You'd hope so. Michael, appreciate you checking out Houston football, www.houfootball. There's a link in the description, so you don't have to go type it in. You don't have to go to Google or Bing or Ask Jeeves or Microsoft Edge or anything. There's a link down in the description, not only to the story from today, but to the site as a whole. Paid subscribers get the story from today, the 14 observations, and then some. There will always be free content on the site, though. I want to make that very clear. There will always be some sort of free content on the site. And, of course, we have the YouTube as well. All right. Bold prediction. By the end of the year, neither Woods nor Collins will be starting. The starting wide receivers will be Tank, Mechie, and Hutch. Too bold. Too bold, I say. Too bold. Although, we're going to talk about those top pass catchers here in just a second. That thumbnail's hilarious. Yeah, I did. I wanted D'Amico with a picture of a dolphin. So I thought that was funny. I looked for 10 minutes to find the right dolphin. It was funny. Tank the Bank Dell. Okay, that's pretty good. I like Vincent Van Gogh route, but it might be a little too wordy. All right, let's talk about those pass catchers here a little bit. Do we know the top 2 pass catchers now for this team? And I ask that in that, not that they're the starters, not that they're the go-to options, just are they the guys that are going to get the ball a lot for this team? One of them is super obvious. He got the ball a lot in the first preseason game. He's been getting the ball a lot in practice. He had 3 touchdowns in the red zone today. One of them is Tank Dell. And that's the biggest thing about Tank Dell is he's showcasing stuff that I didn't believe he was going to showcase until much later in his rookie year, or maybe even his second year. So he seems to be very much ahead of schedule. And you think about where the NFL plays defense, how they play defense these days, and a guy like Tank Dell is invaluable. It's invaluable because he can get into space, stop, and catch the ball. He can get into space and keep separation with guys. And he's tough to defend. If you put a linebacker on him, yes, they're way bigger, but if they don't get a hand on him, they're too slow. Well, if you put a corner on him, if he's got the ability to break loose from that guy, yeah, the guy might be close, but he needs just a tiny bit of separation. And oh, by the way, if you put one of your better corners on him, then maybe that opens up something for someone else on this offense. So Tank Dell looks to me like he's going to absolutely be not just a factor, but maybe even a key to this offense on any given week and maybe throughout the course of this season. He just constantly gets open. And that's the biggest thing, because you can't keep a guy off the field if he's constantly getting open. You'll find ways to put him on the field. I don't care if it's outside, it's inside, it's slot. You will find ways to put him on the field if he's constantly getting open. And he did it again today. Against another defense that's not his teammates, against another defense that's a pretty solid defense. He continues to get open. You can't keep him off the field if he's going to continue to get open. So that's why Dell, to me, is going to be in the conversation as one of the top 2 pass catchers for this team when it's all said and done. The other guy is Dalton Schultz. And Schultz has been Mr. Consistency, okay? I know he got dinged up a little bit, missed a couple of practices, but Dalton Schultz has been out there taking care of business almost from day one in training camp, all right? He's catching balls over his shoulder. He's getting loose in the middle of zones. Man, Dalton Schultz is super consistent. And you think about the fact that he has been a primarily pass catching tight end the past couple of seasons in Dallas. You think about the potential there. And I know that it's tough to do the comparison game because they're different guys, but George Kittle caught a lot of passes and got a lot of targets in the San Francisco offense. That's obviously where Bobby Slowick's coming from. The tight ends are going to be a key and integral aspect to this team. I say tight ends. They've got to find the number 2, number 3, number 4 guy at the tight end spot. But Schultz has been extremely solid. He's going to get open. You think about how much tight ends are used. And then you think about what, I don't know, Nico Collins streaking down the side of the field and Tank Dell running over the middle opens up for Dalton Schultz. Plus, think about the interception from the preseason game that CJ Stroud saw and threw. He saw Tank Dell. He's trying to get the ball to Tank Dell. He tries to sling it out to Dell. Well, who was wide open on that for a little dump off? Probably 8-10 yards. It was Dalton Schultz. So that emergency blanket, good route runner, good pass catcher. Dalton Schultz and Tank Dell, to me, feel like guys that I am confident are going to have a weekly role or a consistent role with this team and with this offense, especially after what you see in one joint practice with the Miami Dolphins. So Dell was fantastic. Dalton Schultz looked really good as well. And then you start trying to, trickle in and fill it in from there on the depth chart. Christopher McCoy has a super chat he wants to get to. Do you think our offensive line will hold up this season, or will CJ Stroud be running for his life? I believe they're going to hold up. And here's why. The offense is going to build in a way to make sure they're holding up by running the football. And you can't run the football as well or as effectively as you want to in joint practices and in training camp. You just can't. You can't get that same sort of feeling, and you can't instill that same sort of fear into an offense in training camp as you would in the regular season. But the rushing attack is going to help the offensive line settle down. It's going to help give the offense, as far as a passing standpoint, some looks that are a bit more favorable. And I do believe they'll ultimately hold up. I don't know that there's more than one sort of questionable aspect about this offensive line when Titus gets back. When Titus Howard gets back and takes back over at right tackle for George Fant, I feel good about left tackle. I feel good about right tackle. I feel good about right guard. And then Juice Scruggs has looked really nice as the center since he took over for the injured Scott Quessenberry. I know he wasn't starting initially, but we all believed Juice was eventually going to start. So, look, Kenyon Green's spot is not guaranteed by any means. I know he's a second-year player. He's a highly drafted player, but they're going to put the 5 best guys out there that can play the best. And if Kenyon Green turns out to not be one of those guys, then so be it. Go sit on the bench. And that's where Michael Dieter comes in. That's where Jared Patterson comes in. So Green's rotating a little bit with Dieter, and I asked D'Amico Ryans about this after practice, and he said, look, it's load management. We know Kenyon Green's coming back from a knee injury, so there's that aspect of it as well. So I'm not super worried about the offensive line because I'm confident about Tunsil, and I'm confident that Fant for a week or two could fill in for Titus Howard. So I'm not super worried about the offensive line, but it'd be nice to see Kenyon bounce back from last year. That'd give you a lot of solidarity. That'd give you a lot of faith in this team and in this offensive line. And he look, I gave you the rep where Raekwon Davis, blows past him. Kenyon had a win in some of the one-on-ones and the rushing attack as well. So it wasn't all bad for Kenyon Green today. Christopher, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much. Daniel, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much. All right, so Tank and Dalton Schultz are kind of the guys from the pass catching standpoint right now. And then I'd go Nico after that. And then I'd go Robert Woods, Brown, Mechie, Hutchinson. That's kind of my pecking order that I would say for the wide receivers. That's my pecking order for the wide receivers. All right. Let's get to a couple of comments here. Once again, thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Christopher. for the super chats. That is greatly appreciated. Sean G says, Tank Dell is TD squared. That's my input on his nickname. Yeah, going to be tough to beat TD squared. Anybody could be TD squared, though. You just had to be the initials T and D and score. I guess it's not that easy to be TD squared. I just like Vincent Van Gogh route. Maybe if I get like AI to make a Van Gogh like painting of Tank Dell running a route, I can get Vincent Van Gogh route to stick. I feel like I'm in Bring It On. Or no, Mean Girls. Stop trying to make fetch happen, Cody. Stop trying to make Vincent Van Gogh route happen, Cody. Heard the Dolphins offense got theirs today. Where was the issue on our end? Also, how did Stingley look? Well, Travis, it's a great opportunity for us to transition into the next topic. Again, throw your comments in there. I'll try to star ones that I don't get to, and we'll get to them at the Q&A portion here at the back end. Defense gets tested. So I watched the way it was split up on the field was to my right was Texans offense and Dolphins defense, and to my left was Dolphins offense and Texans defense. Now, the Dolphins and Texans players were standing at the back end of this side of the field. So it was a little bit difficult to see the defense initially. Okay. So I watched a lot of the offense primarily, but every now and then I'd pop over and just kind of see what I could see from the defense. Well, the first time I pop over, I see Tyreek Hill just blasting past everybody, and Tua uncorks one. Boom, Tyreek, probably a 30, 35-yard gain. Tyreek runs out of bounds, and I was like, damn, it's going like that over there? I didn't see who was in coverage, but I was like, oh, man. But every now and then I'd look over just to kind of see where is the Dolphins offense? You know, where are they on the field? It looked like they moved the ball pretty well. Let me tell you, their tight end, Durham Smythe, which sounds like a bad guy in a movie. Doesn't that sound like it's not quite a Mission Impossible bad guy, but like kind of sounds like a bad guy that would be like in a Die Hard movie. Durham Smythe, you know, he wears number 81. Played at Notre Dame. Has been with the Dolphins for a couple of years. He was tearing cats up. I mean, he had a really big day. We'll get to him here in just a moment. Durham Smythe looked good, and so that kind of, I'm thinking to myself, okay, like is tight end going to be a position where maybe the Texans have themselves a issue defending tight ends? And you know, I don't know. I didn't get to see a ton of this. I did see a couple of different plays that stood out. Ernesto, take a 20-second water break. All right. Ernesto, thank you for the super chat and the concerns about my health and my pipes here. Thank you, Ernesto. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. So Stingley came flying in on a blitz that I you know, if you played NCAA football 14 or you played a bunch of Madden with your buddies, every now and then you'd throw in a corner blitz and it would just kill the quarterback. That's what the Texans defense did. They threw in a corner blitz and Stingley came flying in there, and he would have sawed Tua in half, because you got to remember Tua's a lefty. So he never saw him. He was coming from Tua's blind side. He'd have sawed him in half. They let the play go, but we all know at that point it's a sack. I did see Henry To'o at one point. You know, this is a big thing with To'o. The play recognition is going to be his speed. He's not traditionally fast compared to some of these other linebackers, but he plays fast because he recognizes plays. He beat a guy to the sideline again. Like, the play was going there. He saw where it was going. He beats the guy to the sideline and kind of forces him out of bounds. And I was like, okay, nice play by To'o. There was a Will Anderson rep that I got to watch. And, man, it felt like they sent 4 guys at Will Anderson to try to block him. I know it wasn't that many, but it started with the tackle, Anderson tried to go inside, so the guard was there, and then he tried to go back outside, and then the tight end was there. So, like, 3 different Dolphins got their hands on him at some point. And I'm like, geez, where have I seen a defensive end get blocked by 3 guys when he's wearing a Texans uniform before? Shades of J.J. Watt. But it was tough to see a lot of the defense. But, I saw a play here or there, and I'm going to talk about individuals here in just a second. Christian Harris has been the best linebacker on this team in training camp, and Christian Harris picked off Tua, just read him like a book. Boom, easiest interception of his life, into the end zone, touchdown Texans defense. I mean, just absolutely read him like a book. Great play by Christian Harris. And that was one of 2 giant interceptions on the day. I'll get to the last play or the last series here in just a moment, but I did want to go through some of the one-on-one stuff. So they don't always, where we set up at training camp, we don't always have an opportunity to see the defensive lineman and the offensive lineman working against each other because of where we set up, and it's where it is on the practice field and things like that. We got to go stand probably 15, 20 feet away from Texans defensive line and Dolphins offensive line. And that was one of my favorite moments of the day, watching those Texans defenders go at it. And so I wrote down here in my book just how everything went down. Will Anderson got the first snap against Austin Jackson, I believe is his name, the right tackle for the Dolphins, former first rounder, right? Austin Jackson. Hold on, let me make sure. This is the mid-show Google that happens from time to time. No, I don't want the baseball player. Yeah, 18th overall pick by the Dolphins. Anderson just kind of busted up in him, kind of pushed him into the quarterback, got in his face, got around there. Really good rep by Anderson. Kendall Lamb, remember that name? Remember when Dwayne Brown was pissed about his contract and the Texans played Kendall Lamb at left tackle? Remember that? Because I do. I'll never forget it. Kendall Lamb's on the Dolphins now. And Jonathan Grenard crushed him. I mean, Grenard's he has not had an eye-popping play where you're like, oh my God. But like Grenard's consistency, and him and Jerry Hughes and Will Anderson are always talking between drills, between plays. It's special teams, him and Jerry Hughes and Will Anderson are getting together, working on pass rush moves and stuff like that. So Grenard took care of Lamb. And then I'll just kind of go through a bunch of the different guys who had some success there. Kurt Hinish got a big push. Chase Winovich came off the edge and, kind of dipped around the tackle that was trying to defend him. Malik Collins. Well, let me tell you, Malik Collins is probably playing the best football of his career. And that sort of aligns with the fact that the Texans invested in him with the contract and spent the money on the extension that they did with Malik Collins. He's playing really good football right now. He was at the end of last year and in training camp so far. He sort of went right initially against the guard, and the guard kind of had him locked up but was leaning a little bit. He had a little spin move off the guard, into the quarterback's pocket, into his area. Didn't make the play, didn't chase down the quarterback because he sort of lost his balance on the spin move, but he hit a spin move that you don't see defensive tackles hit very often. So that was very fun to watch. And then the very last rep, Will Anderson went to sort of speed rush, went to bull rush the tackle that he was going against, and that guy kind of held him up, locked him up. And so Anderson talked about it after practice today, and he's like, yeah, I have a lot of opportunity to get better off of today because of this. And He's talked most times he's been in the podium. He's talked about how the coaches work with him on what to watch for on film when he watches film by himself at home at night. So I think that's a fun aspect of exactly what Will Anderson brings to the table. So that was the one-on-one defensive line for the Texans, offensive line for the Dolphins. And so now I take you to the final drive. Now we talked about how CJ Stroud got into field goal range. And the final drive of the day is Dolphins offense, Texans defense. And I'll be damned if Durham Smythe, the supervillain, doesn't show up right away. Boom, probably like 20 yards down the seam. And I'm like, oh man, Stroud and them had to kind of work their ass off to move the football. And Tua's back here, boom, hits a dart. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, let's see what the next play is. Well, the next play is the cheetah. Okay, it's Tyreek Hill for another big gain. And I'm like, all right, well, anytime now, defense, those are two guys that have been tearing you up all day. What do we got here? What do we got here? And next thing you know, Tua drops back, and he's looking to dump it off to the left. And he does, and he dumps it right off to Jalen Petrie. And Jalen Petrie ran the 70-ish or so yards all the way back down the field with a bunch of his teammates trailing him, and then ran out the gate of the practice field. If you remember, I think it was Bo Jackson back in the day when he scored, he just kept running down the tunnel. Petrie pulled one of those. Bunch of the teammates came down. They're losing it. They're freaking out. It was a great finish to the practice. And I would bet my bottom dollar that the reaction of the Texans pissed off the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to be ready to rock tomorrow from the word go. And I wouldn't be shocked if we saw some scuffling, a little kerfuffle, maybe even a Donnybrook, if you will. I would not be shocked to see the Dolphins really kind of take that one personally and get things started in a hurry tomorrow. So, solid-ish day for the defense. I saw some guys running clean, running easy on that other field. But hey, this is a good offense. Okay, this is a borderline great offense. This was the sixth best offense in football last year, and they didn't have their starting quarterback for every game. So to get 2 pick sixes off of Tua to have the success that they did, that's a solid day. Plenty to work on, certainly, but that's a solid day for this defense. Okay. That's a real solid day. All right. Q&A time. Go through some of these questions that you guys have. Start firing them in here if you want to. And if you want to get to the top of the line, the front of the line, the super chat is available to you as well. If you're enjoying the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up on the video. It helps the video grow and reach other fans of the video like yourself. And I would appreciate a subscription if you're not already subscribed to the channel as well. And check out Houston Football. www.houfootball.com is the website. There's a link in the description down below. All right, question time. This was. I mean, this is what this defense may be at times. You hopefully not, but if you can get a timely turnover, you can survive giving up some yards. Oh, this is actually a fun conversation from a few years ago. The Andre Dillard, Titus Howard situation. I do believe they wanted Andre Dillard, and I do believe the Eagles jumped him, but I also believe that they also really like Titus Howard. But I don't believe they liked him enough to start him at left tackle. In fact, I know they didn't because they went out there and had Matt Khalil playing left tackle for a few weeks, and then they traded 2 drafts for Laramie Tunsil. And now Andre Dillard's the starting left tackle for the Titans, I think. Harris is a freak. He is a freak athlete. His play recognition is really good, and he's super fast. He's super fast. Hey, Digital's going tomorrow. Digital Plex. Plex. I hope I'm doing an okay job with that. Do the Texans keep 5 at both DT and D end? So the initial 49ers roster last year, about September 1st or so, they kept 4 defensive tackles, but they also had guys that could play a little bit of both. So they kept 4 defensive tackles last year: Kinlaw, Armstead, Givens, and Hassan Ridgeway. But they weren't afraid to bump a couple of different guys down, and they kept 6 edge players. So if you go 5 and 5, let's just say you have 10 defensive line spots. If you go 5 and 5, then you kind of know who the guys are. So Malik Collins and Sheldon Rankins as the starters, Hassan Ridgeway, Roy Lopez, and Kurt Heinisch as the backups. There's your 5 defensive tackles. Your 5 ends are Grenard, Willie Anderson, Jerry Hughes, Jacob Martin, who has played really well in training camp, and Dylan Horton. Dylan Horton had a couple of nice snaps today. I left him out earlier when I was talking about some of these defensive linemen, but Dylan Horton had some nice snaps today. So there's your 10. If you're going 6 ends and 4 tackles, drop Heinisch at an end. That's going to be a tough decision to make. It's going to be a tough decision to make. The Saints are winning the division. I don't care what anyone says. It's just facts. Turbo out. Yes, the Saints are winning that division. They also don't play anybody this year. Like, they miss all the good quarterbacks on their schedule this year. It's quite strange how the schedule worked out so well for them. Do you think the trade-up to get Willie Anderson Jr. would have happened if Texans offered Brown's pick instead? I would think if they had the ability to do that, they probably would have done that. So I don't believe you could get Willie Anderson Jr. and get that trade done without offering your own pick. The Cardinals are betting against you. Why wouldn't they? You're picking third. You're picking second. Why wouldn't they bet against you? The Browns have, a team that, when healthy, should be competing for a wild card spot. All right, start firing those. What players got us? So I guess it was Harris and Jeff Wilson, the running back for Miami, had a little bit of words today, but not sure that I could say for sure anybody else had any sort of, issues. How good was Stroud today? He was good. We broke it down a little bit at the start. Is CJ playing a half Saturday or doubling the series from game 1? So I'm at a bit of a crossroads here, because if Stroud doesn't play well in the joint practice tomorrow, I wonder if he'll play more in the game. Whereas if he plays well in the joint practice tomorrow, maybe he plays less in the game. If he has an okay day, maybe he plays just a little bit more. I would not be shocked to see him just kind of, like you say here, Sean G, double the series, double the reps, where he just he plays a little bit more than he did last week. And especially if there's some success there, they kind of move on. D'Amico Ryan says he's he's keeping it close to the vest, until he knows, until the joint practices are over. And so that's why my theory of, hey, if he plays well tomorrow, less on Saturday. If he doesn't play well tomorrow, more on Saturday. You think the Texans have enough playmakers? Yes and no, in that they have options and guys can make plays, but they don't have a guy that is every week for sure, just yet, every week for sure going to be the dude that the other team has to game plan for and stop. They do not have a skill position war daddy. If you're new to the channel, I talk about this from time to time. It's just an absolute monster, a beast. There are very few war daddies actually in the NFL. There's a handful at wide receiver. It's a little bit easier to be a position or a skill position player, war daddy, but like Laramie Tunsil's the only war daddy the Texans have. Nick Bosa is a war daddy. From an offensive standpoint, the wide receiver spot, there's really 4 or 5. It's Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase. Tyreek Hill's pretty damn close right there. I'd go ahead and give him war daddy status. And Cooper Kupp. When healthy, Cooper Kupp is one of the best wide receivers in football. So they don't have a war daddy, and they're not close to having a war daddy on offense at the skill position spots. Obviously, they got Laramie. But they'll have guys that on a given week can step up and have a really big game. Tank Dell's going to be one of those guys. Nico's going to have a big game here or there. Maybe Robert Woods is going to have a big game. In the fantasy football community, I've been watching the guys over at Underdog Fantasy. The fantasy football community loves them some Robert Woods. And they feel like he could have the type of season that Zay Jones had last year. You know, a veteran that made a little bit more money than people thought he was going to make. And next thing you know, he had over 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. I'll take 823 and 5 touches from Robert Woods right now. Sign me up for that right now. I feel like Coach likes Kirko. Do you think he's going to get a spot? Christian Kirksey's not practiced in a long time. He's been hurt. I talked about this on the stock up, stock down video that I did, which somebody's making fun of the way I tie my tie, by the way. So when we get done with all the questions, I brought my tie to tie my tie the correct way, according to that person. I don't believe Kirko's going to make the team. How did Eric Izukuma look? I didn't get to see a lot of him. It was just obstructed view, watched a lot more of the offense. I'm hoping that I can, pay a little bit closer attention to the Texans defense tomorrow, but I didn't get to see a lot of him. Jim Davies. D'Amico was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday. He said Matt Burke called the defense against the Patriots. Will D'Amico or Burke call the defense in the regular season? Keep up the good work. I believe Matt Burke will finish the year calling the defense. I also believe that it's not out of the question that he begins the year calling the defense. So that's where I'll say on that. I know D'Amico said a couple weeks ago that he's going to call the defense. If he does, I feel like he's going to start and then maybe hand it to Burke. But I have a strong sense that Matt Burke will finish the year calling plays on defense. Does Horton make the roster? Oh, yeah. Dylan Horton's on the team, for sure. Yeah, Horton makes it. Then keep a couple each on the practice squad, O-line too. Yeah, so 16 players on the practice squad. So they cut over 1,000 guys on cutdown day, which is the last Monday of this month. The last Tuesday of this month. Hold on, I have my calendar in front of me. August 29th is cutdown day. So it'll be over 1,000 players cut on cutdown day. And then about 500 of those guys make the practice squad. So I'll be interested to see who makes the practice squad for this team, who's in the conversation. Heinisch, if they keep 4 defensive tackles and Heinisch gets cut, he's probably good enough to go play somewhere. He's probably good enough to go play somewhere else and not be on the practice squad. Flossie, see you Saturday at the game, Cody. I'll see you hopefully at the game. Yeah, I'll be out there. Hopefully it's not too warm. We do a little walking around before, hit some tailgates and stuff like that. It's the only preseason home game, Has Brandon Hill been practicing? He has not. I can't tell you one thing that Brandon Hill's done in training camp, and that's unfortunate. You got to be healthy. I mean, maybe this is an IR situation, and he spends the year on the IR, gets an opportunity next year. But Lumineer will be there as well. Esco, good to hear from you. Today was the Tank Dell show. Yes, it was. Reassessing everything up to this point, does the draft compensation get Stroud and Anderson seem worth it or too early to tell? Still too early to tell. I'd be really interested to know how close they were to doing something with one of the other quarterbacks, Richardson or Will Levis. I'd also be really interested to know if they were still planning to get Will Anderson had they had the number 1 overall pick. Do you think we'll develop playmakers this season? Tank Dell looks like he's going to be one of those dudes. Damian's a really nice player. Damian Pierce, he's a really nice player. And so, those are the two guys. If Nico Collins plays like he practices, he'll be a really nice player. He just gets to game day and it doesn't translate as well, or to the level that you would want it to translate. Do you think Stroud has done enough to secure the QB1 spot? Do you think D'Amico and Bobby Slowick think so? Yeah. Stroud is the only one taking first-team reps at this point. So he's QB1 unless he gets hurt. It's me knocking on wood so he doesn't get hurt. All right, so he's QB1. I mean, he's going to be the starter. I don't know when they're going to announce it, but Stroud's going to be the starter. Ooh, Daniel. CJ become a Houston War Daddy. I like that. I hope that's the case. I'd like to see some of the stuff we saw at practice in the game. Just a little bit, maybe a little bit more, play a little bit longer, give CJ that opportunity. Yeah, he showcased the wheels today for sure, man. He showcased the wheels today, for sure. Are you encouraged by reports that Sean's struggling in Cleveland during preseason? Of course I am. The worse they are, the better this team gets. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't been in here before, there's a pizza party proclamation that I have made. If the Cleveland Browns are so god-awful at football this year that the Houston Texans get a top pick in the draft and are able to use their selection that they have from the Browns on Marvin Harrison Jr., I will throw a pizza party, and it'll be on me. It'll be pizza on me, some beer on me, beveraginos, all that stuff. So the pizza party proclamation is out there. If the Browns are really bad and the Texans are able to draft Marvin Harrison Jr., I'll throw a pizza party and y'all won't have to pay a dime. Kenneth, appreciate you getting in, however you get in. Keith, not sure about giving a guy a nickname who goes by a nickname. You can't ever have too many nicknames. I mean, Muhammad Ali had like 50 nicknames. Babe Ruth had like 100 nicknames. Hell, Jim Ross back on WWF, WWE, he used to give people 15 nicknames. I mean, the cerebral assassin, the game, the dirtiest player in the game. Everybody had nicknames back then. This draft class, does it have 06 vibes to it? Because to me, 2006 is still one of the best draft classes that this organization has ever had. And it was just a masterful job by Charlie Casserly on his way out the door in 2006. Because out of that draft class, you got Mario Williams, D'Amico Ryans, who became your stud linebacker, Charles Spencer, who was your starting left tackle for a while until Ron Dane rolled up on him and got him injured, Eric Winston, who was your starting right tackle for a good while, Owen Daniels, who's the best tight end in team history, David Anderson, who played special teams and was a slot guy for you later on. Like 2006 is the best draft that this organization has ever had. And you think about what 2023 can be. Obviously, there's a lot more investment in it because you had an additional first, but potentially you've got starting quarterback, elite pass rusher, starting center, dynamic slot wide receiver, backup defensive lineman, starting linebacker, backup offensive lineman, and backup wide receiver. Like that's 8 players that potentially you have found yourself here in this draft. Now, Patterson's going to need to play much better, solidify himself as a backup. Dylan Horton's going to need to get better. But To'o's nice right now. Tank Dell's nice right now. Scruggs is nice. Obviously, the number 2, number 3 overall pick have been nice. So, yeah, there's a chance that 2006 is eclipsed by 2023. I mean, see, wide receiver 1 to me is a guy that plays outside and is going to play every snap outside. Like, top pass catcher is kind of what Tank, I think, is looking for. I don't think we need to worry about who the 1, the 2, the slot guy. They're going to find that he's going to find the ball, and the ball's going to find him. Patterson's back. He's back working out. Nothing to note just yet. Nothing to note just yet on the rookie from Notre Dame, Jarrett Patterson. Do you think Hutch will make the cut? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Xavier Hutchinson is going to be on the team, I believe. I think your wide receivers are Collins Woods, Tank Mechie, Noah Brown, Xavier Hutchinson. So Tank Dell's first name is Nathaniel. Yeah, but see, Keith, when he runs routes, it's art. Vincent Van Gogh route. This will probably be the last time I mention Vincent Van Gogh route. Makes me sad that you guys aren't on board with this. Let's see. Definitely want to see Patterson healthy. Be absolutely shocked if he doesn't make the team. Maybe that or IR. So if you IR a guy now, he's done for the year. If they start the season on the 53, even if they're hurt, IR him, then he can come back. He can come back off the IR. Yes, they will. But it's possible. That's one of those slogans that my alma mater, Texas Tech, has. From here, it's possible. From Cleveland, it's possible. I feel like they gave Sims the opportunity in the preseason game to just kind of give him a look, see what he's got. I ultimately believe that those duties will be split up between Desmond King and Tank Dell. So Desmond King and Tank Dell will be the two guys doing a lot of the kick returns. No, I would not have preferred those guys. Singletary's got some shiftiness to him. It's fun to watch. That's a guy that had 1,000 all-purpose yards last year. And I'm excited to see what Singletary does. I mean, he can scoop, man. He turned a 3-yard gain into a 7-yard gain just by shaking somebody today. So I'm excited to see Singletary. I'm not bummed that it's him instead of Kareem Hunt. Updates on Fairbairn. Haven't seen him miss yet. Fairbairn did something funny the other day. They were in the bubble practicing on Saturday. It was a light workout. Well, the specialists have to work outside because there's not enough room for them to do stuff. So Cam Johnston, and John Weeks and Kaimi Fairbairn were working outside. And then they came inside, and then Kaimi's working on kickoffs, and they got lights in the bubble, like that hang down from the roof. And he hit the lights like 2 times, and he looked over at everybody. He's like, I guess we can't work kickoff. So it's like, yeah, I guess not. What about Dylan Horton? Solid day. Once won a really nice one-on-one rep, and then I think I saw him in on like a play a little bit later on. So Horton showed up right away when he got back from the injury. He was banged up for a minute, and he got back, and he showed up sort of right away. Gunner, Cody, I used to watch The Wheelhouse. Was sad you left, but I'm very glad you got your own thing going. Keep up the good work. Let's go Texans. Gunnar, I appreciate the kind words, man. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate everybody tuning in today, hitting in the comments, or just watching, or if you're tuning in after the fact, I appreciate you there as well. All right, a couple more questions, then we'll try to tie the tie. What's your take on 3 receivers getting 600 yards or more and 6 touchdowns this year? Also, you taking the over or under? 3 receivers getting 600 yards or more and 6 touchdowns this year. So let's go through. Let's think about this here. That's 18 touchdowns from the wide receivers. 18 touchdowns for the wide receivers. The most passing touchdowns in a rookie season is 31 by Justin Herbert in 2020, followed by Baker Mayfield in 2018 with 27. So factor in, let's say, okay, so that's 18 amongst 3 wide receivers. Throw in another 2 or 3 wide receivers, so that gets us to 20, 21. And then throw in 4 for Dalton Schultz, 24, 25. That'd be one of the best rookie passing touchdown seasons of all time. I'm going to say under on that. I don't know that there's health to factor in. Nico's been hurt a bunch. Robert Woods has had some knee troubles. So I'm going to say under on this. Boy, Tank having 6 and 6 would be nice. I'd rather see Valladay second, not Singletary. Well, Xavier Valladay is not on the team anymore. He got cut this week. Kareem Hunt might go to Minnesota. Yep. The free agent running backs stuff's been weird. I kind of wish we'd gotten to see Zeke with the Patriots. He signed up there. All right, let's see if I can So Keith Chaos, you're in here. There's some solid play from the offensive line. It's not as good as you'd want it to be for a team that's got as much invested in the offensive line, but Titus is down. And Kenyon Green's still working back, and he's kind of time sharing with Michael Dieter. But Scruggs has looked nice. Mason's looked nice. And then Fant's okay from the right tackle perspective while Titus is down. Fant's okay. All right, so Keith Chaos is in the chat here. And if you didn't see the video that I threw up this morning, it was stock up, stock down going into the joint practices. And I wore a dress shirt and I wore a tie, to imitate my guy Jim Cramer from the Mad Money. So Keith Chaos hit me in the comments, was like, hey, like you didn't tie your tie right for a big guy. The double Windsor looks better on a big fella. And I was like, okay, well, I went and watched some videos. Let's see if I can fire up a double Windsor. All right, I'm doing it backwards looking at a video. So we go through. Okay. All right, so we go through, and then we go around, and then through again, and then down. Is that better? I don't think I did this right. Yeah, maybe I did. All right, a little bit better here. My sizing's off, but what do we think? Is that wide enough for my big fat head? The tie guy's gone. He's not in the chat now. I went and got the tie out of the closet just for him. Just for him. Rowdy wants to know about Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson balls this year. Do you see him sticking around longer term, or would he want out? The money's right. Anybody sticks around. If the money's right, anybody's going to stick around. Steven Nelson, a lot of these guys, you pay them the right amount, they're going to hang out. They're going to hang out. Well, I look like the cheapest and worst male stripper in the world. Get them likes in. Yeah, hit the little thumbs up button for me, if you don't mind. Why is everyone comparing Will to Nick Bosa or Vaughn? I want the next JJ. I'll take Nick Bosa or Von Miller. They play different positions too, though. Like JJ played that 3-4 defensive end. Anderson's going to play a 4-3 defensive end. He's going to line up way outside. He's going to beat the snot out of offensive linemen. So they play different positions. I'll take Bosa or Von Miller. That Von Miller's the one that Laramie Tunsil said he reminds him of. Let's see here. Screw the tie, just undo the top two buttons. We laid back. Yeah, I can do like my old co-host, my buddy John Lopez, and do like 5 buttons. Just have all the chest hair out. All right, Derek, I was at camp today, and Tank and Petrie are monsters. Oh, yeah. Before the season starts, I have some content plans, going through what I believe might be the I'm going to call it the 22 best Texans heading into the season. And we'll do it to start before the season. We'll swing back around to the back end and talk about who the 22 best are at the end of the season. So we'll do that at some point in the preseason here. A couple more. Defense finishing top 7. That'd be quite the jump. I don't see top 7, but top half of the league is certainly possible. And really, at this point, might be a disappointment if they don't get it into the top half. Did you get to see D'Amico on Pat McAfee? Yes, I did. And very relaxed. I thought he did a really nice job explaining why he is the way he is, why they approach things the way they do. It was a good interview. McAfee does some pretty entertaining stuff sometimes. Looks solid. Looks solid. Didn't throw an interception. Had some moments, stuff getting batted down and stuff like that, but wasn't too bad. And let's see. Rhett says top 10 defense. Okay, Rhett. 10 wins. Be positive, Cody. I think 7's pretty positive, but, they get the 10. Be nice. Be real nice. You win the freaking division. You're playing in the playoffs. You win 10 games. Yeah, you win 10 games in this division. You probably go in the playoffs. They go to the playoffs. We're going to have a blast talking about this team. All right, some housekeeping. Okay? Housekeeping here as we wrap up. www.houfootball.com. There will always be free content on the site. The paid subscription is $7 a month. If you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free. Okay? If you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free. It's just $7 a month. I'm going to make it worth your while. The observations today, that's something that's for paid subscribers. The other content that we're going to put on there, the stuff during the week, all that kind of stuff, I'm going to make it worth your while if you subscribe to Houston Football. www.houfootball.com. It's in the description down below if you want to check it out. Okay? I'll make it worth your while. We're working on the before the season gets started pizza party. All right? Find a place, invite the YouTube people, invite the Houston Football people, and we'll just have some pizza, talk about the Texans a little bit. Maybe I can sneak some special guests in there, do like a little round table, get together, hang out, BS a little bit. Okay? Working on that. We'll have hopefully a time and a date for you here pretty soon on that. Okay? We'll get a raffle going at the end of the month for, I think you guys had talked about maybe gift cards that you like, so be on the lookout for that. A lot of that stuff's going to be in the description of these videos, okay? So be looking in the description of these videos from time to time. Stuff's going to pop up, information about the raffle, information about the pizza get together before the season gets going. So stuff of that stuff in that vein, of that nature. So check that out. Training camp tomorrow, another joint practice, Friday off day, game on Saturday, afternoon game. If you're going to the game, let me know in some way, shape, or fashion. Hit me on Twitter at Cody_Stoots, or send me an email. You can send it through the site, or I put my email on here a few different times. So I do want to get that out there. Let me know if you're going to the game. And if you're out there tailgating, hanging out, I'll try to come out and see you. I got to give a shout out to a listener and a Houston football subscriber. He alerted me to an issue with the site that was actually a very, very big fix. And so I want to give him a shout out for taking care of business. Kenton Cleaning. Okay. I'm going to do a little share screen here. Give his website a little bit of a plug. All right. Kenton Cleaning. They do pressure washing. They can pressure wash anything. Window cleaning, commercial, house washing. Kenton Cleaning. One of their owner operators hit me up, told me about a little issue that I had on the website, and I was able to fix that, and I appreciate that. So if you need some pressure washing in the greater Houston area, KentonClean.com, KINTON clean.com, KINTON clean.com. Tell them Cody Stoots sent you. I don't know if that gets you anything. It probably doesn't, but I'd like for him to know that, hey, I gave him the shout out. He took care of me. And so I want to take care of him and let everybody know about his pressure washing business and all the duties that he can take care of when it comes to getting you cleaned up at your house, so on and so forth. If the big fella wants me on, I'm there. If the big fella wants me on, I'm there. You going to the home opener or you tailgating? I plan to be at every home game this year as well as some road games. So tailgating, I'm not going to do a ton of tailgating. I'll go out and I'll say hello to people at tailgates. I'll hang out for a little while. But I do get a little busy pregame getting everything squared away. And that was before I had the site and the YouTube and all that. But I do want to come out and hang out with you guys at tailgates and say hello to you if you're walking around the stadium and things like that. So yes, I'm going to try to get out there as much as I can. Let's see. All right. That'll do it for the live today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys really do make this so much fun. The support that you show here on YouTube, the support that you show to Houston football, it makes all of this possible, that we can hang out on a Wednesday afternoon, talk about the Texans, have some fun. And it's fun to talk about this team again. They're exciting. They're going to be exciting this year. They're going to be much better than the previous couple of years. I'm pumped and I'm excited. And I'm really, really excited about all the coverage that I have for you guys here for this season. And thank you again so much for watching, for the thumbs up, the subscriptions here on YouTube, the subscriptions to the site. It all means the world to me. It allows me to do what I do and bring you guys the coverage that I do. So I very much appreciate that. And if you're here for the first time, you got all the way to the end and you don't know how we finish the live streams. We finish the live streams the same way each and every time. Okay? Finish the live streams the same way each and every time. And it's my charge to you, but it is also my hope for you as well. Christian knows it. I want you to eat good, sleep good, and be good. And we'll talk Texans again here real soon on the YouTube channel.